Tired, buddy?
We are live. How about you, everybody? Woo! Welcome to the Auburn Live call-in show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. And we've got some news for you today. We got some football news. We got some recruiting news. We got some transfer news. And we're going to let our callers dictate our show. But we will touch on the big news today. Auburn has hired offensive coordinator Philip Montgomery.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Am I still delaying?
You are. Just touch. Not bad.
All right, let me close out some of these OnlyFans tabs. Philip Montgomery, offensive coordinator Ron Roberts, defensive coordinator Ron Roberts comes from Baylor. Philip Montgomery comes from Tulsa, if I'm not mistaken. Here to talk to me and talk to all you guys listening about it is Mr. Justin Hokanson, Auburn Live senior reporter, Mr. Cole Pinkston, and Mr. Jhead. Fellas, how we doing tonight?
How about you, brother?
Woo.
I'm ready to talk scheme. I'm ready to talk recruiting, the transfer portal. Let's talk. Let's let our fans get on the phone.
Let's Justin, talk to us about these new hires.
Yeah, that just basically stuff just broke. We'll talk about Ron Roberts first. Former Baylor defensive coordinator, was actually just let go at Baylor in November. They were not good on defense this year, but they were really good the last couple of years in 20 and 21 under him. Especially that 21 season when Baylor, they went to the Sugar Bowl and crushed Ole Miss that season. They led the Big 12 in turnovers forced, turnover margin, defensive touchdowns. And they were one of 3 FBS teams to not give up more than 30 points in a game that season. They held Ole Miss to 10. They sacked Ole Miss 10 times in that Sugar Bowl. 10 sacks and 3 picks in that Sugar Bowl against Ole Miss. And then in their 2-7 season at Baylor and Dave Aranda's first season, they were really bad, but the defense was still really good. They finished second in the conference in total defense despite going 2-7. And then before that, he was defensive coordinator at Louisiana for 2 years. And he was head coach at Southeastern Louisiana for a handful of years. So Louisiana, Texas ties for the most part. Coached in high school in California back in the 90s. But his most recent stuff is Texas and Louisiana ties. Sounds like a really good football coach. Hugh Freeze talked about X's and O's and wanting kind of a mastermind kind of guy. And he must think that Ron Roberts is it. As far as Philip Montgomery at OC, that's a home run. I mean, this guy's been a head coach at Tulsa for the last 8 years, went about 500. I think he had 3 winning seasons there. It's hard to win at Tulsa. But he's got 8 years of head coaching experience at Tulsa. But before that, he's the OC at Baylor and was phenomenal. In his last 4 seasons at Baylor, they finished in the top 2 in total offense every season. And he coached quarterbacks like Bryce Petty, Robert Griffin III, Nick Florence, who were all Americans. He coached Kevin Cobb at Houston. He coached Case Keenum at Houston before Baylor. So this is a dude who's widely regarded as one of the better offensive minds in the country. And so you get a guy in Philip Montgomery that not just a good offensive mind, but being a head coach for 8 years, you can pretty much just go, here you go. You know, Hugh Freeze talked about maybe backing off play calling in his press conference. This is the guy you can do that with. You know, this is the guy that you should be able to just completely trust to do that. So Philip Montgomery is a home run hire. Ron Roberts kind of came out of nowhere for me, I'll be honest. But he's got a good pedigree and a good coaching. You read a little bit about him. He's a good coach. So sounds like 2 good hires. Have no idea about the recruiting aspect. I don't know the recruiting acumen of either of them. So hard to speak to that. The most important thing, I guess, is the NIL guys trust Hugh Freeze on the hire and trust him and get behind him. I mean, that's what needs to happen next.
That's all that really takes in this day and age, right?
Yeah.
Jhead, real quick, man, give us a little Cliff's notes on Roberts. You've looked into some of the things that he does well on defense. What can we expect to see from him at Auburn?
Absolutely. In addition to what Justin put, he's also was the head coach at Delta State and defensive coordinator at Tusculum. Actually coached a good friend of mine at Tusculum, but got some cliff notes from him. Guys that have coached underneath Ron Roberts: Pete Golding, who's now the defensive coordinator at Alabama; Patrick Toney, who's the defensive coordinator at Florida; Carl Scott, who's the defensive passing game coordinator for the Seahawks. All were mentored underneath him, as well as Dave Aranda, who was on his staff at Delta State. From a scheme standpoint, Roberts has been has had a variable scheme where he's rotated between 3-3-5 and 4-2-5, even incorporating some 3-4. He's kind of been the person that you've heard the term simulated pressure, things that have given Alabama fits in the background. Ron Roberts is the person that kind of dreamed that up. He designed that when he was at Southeastern Louisiana and Delta State, kind of more or less brought something new to the game. And it's something that Aranda has utilized a lot and really gave Alabama fits with when he was at LSU. So Roberts is a very, very intelligent and imaginative defensive mind, a guy that absolutely embodies what Hugh Freeze was looking to, somebody he can turn the defense over to. And the other great thing is our very own Zach Etheridge, who's currently on staff, worked for Roberts at ULL underneath Billy Napier, and Napier has said some wonderful things about Roberts during his time there. So I think if Auburn fans are having questions with regard to him being let go at Baylor, that was a situation where, if I'm reading the tea leaves right, Aranda was clearing the way for another protege of his and Jim Leonard to be the new defense coordinator there. Roberts was also highly in contention to be the DC at Arkansas, so he was definitely sought after as far as that's concerned, as reported by Brandon Marcello last night. But I think you get a guy, and like Justin said, I don't know the recruiting aspect of it, but from a defensive scheme standpoint, I think we're in very solid hands.
Good stuff. Well, let's get to the phone line. Before we do, Zach, let me pay a quick bill. Jessica Andrews has volunteered to pay a bill. Hey, if you're looking for a home in or around Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, Alabama, Jessica Andrews with eXp really can do it all. 334-704-4442, residential investment property. She is a 5-star realtor. Take it from me, her fiance. Jessica Andrews, 334-704-4442. Zach, lead us off, big dog.
And real quick, too, about the Southeastern Louisiana, I've reached out to some of the people I know over there. He actually led them to their first 2 conference titles in school history in the Southland while he was the head coach in terms of Roberts. And on top of that, led Delta State to the D2 National Championship and 4 conference titles in 5 years of being the head coach at Delta State.
So nose ball for sure.
Good stuff.
3624. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from? And also, can you please turn down your background? Just talking to the phone to us.
Hey, how about you guys?
How about you?
Hey, Jay Lee.
Yeah.
Did you get scalped by an Indian?
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
Are y'all hearing the echo?
We're not anymore. Who do we have on the line here?
Well, this is Justin Chappell, but I go by Chappie.
Okay, yeah.
Long-time subscriber, long-time listener. Love you guys. Pinkster, Jhead, thank you for your service. Protecting our borders. I just wanted to call in and tell you how much I appreciate you guys.
Well, Chappie,
I listen to y'all, and that's how I get my Auburn input.
Yes, sir.
I grew up in Northeast Alabama in the same hometown as Cadillac. We
Yes.
were 1 year apart, and we're on a first name basis, but I couldn't be any more excited for an off season than I am now.
okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, Chad.
I don't really have any questions, but I just wanted to say I appreciate you guys. And I'll have at it.
Hey, Chappie, we appreciate it, man. That's a great call to get the show started. We certainly appreciate everybody. We appreciate the listeners, the subscribers. Hey, and Cleveland Brown, I think there's a couple of tips in there, man. We all absolutely appreciate those. We do not ask for any tips. We don't ask for anything from the show except for a subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Like the channel. It's free. I don't know what it does for us, but it does something for us, man. That's all we ask from you guys. Listen, watch, and click that subscribe button. Zach, keep us going, big dog.
0177. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
Hey, y'all. I'm Jeremy from Enterprise, Alabama.
What's up, Jeremy?
Good phone, Jeremy. Good phone.
How y'all doing this afternoon? This evening.
I'm doing well, Jeremy. What's on your mind, big dog?
Well, I got two little quick things. One for each of the coordinators that had just been hired. The Philip Montgomery hire. Now, I understand he was under Art Browse as the QB coach when they were, slinging the rock and the quarterbacks were throwing for 3,000 yards a season. So, is that something that we can, expect at Auburn? Or is this more going to be kind of a Hugh Freeze playing the calls?
It's a good question. Cole, you jumping in here?
Yeah, sure. Well, I go back to what Hugh Freeze said in his press conference where he was undecided about what he wanted to do. He's been a play caller all his life, but, if it was more important for him to be more of a recruiter and less of a play caller, he was going to look into it, right? So he gets a guy that's got head coach experience, got a lot of experience calling plays. I would think there's going to be a good mesh there. I think Hugh Freeze's style is going to mesh with Montgomery's style, and Hugh Freeze has got sort of an up-tempo RPO style where you mesh with a good passing game. And I like Hugh Freeze's passing game too, so I think that they'll mesh pretty well.
Jhead, jump on.
That sounds really good. Now, my second question on this Ron Roberts, as y'all were talking about, what kind of defensive lineman are we kind of looking at? Are we kind of looking at some kind of 300-plus pound lineman, or are we kind of looking at around maybe on the interior about 285, 290, somewhere kind of quick that can be able to kind of have those spin moves and kind of them arm chops that we kind of see like in the NFL?
I will say this: the recruiting tactic, the strategy on recruiting defensive linemen has changed over the past 2 weeks with this new staff. And even before this defensive coordinator was hired, I don't know if these guys kind of had a little idea of what was going on. But I will say for the first time since Auburn has been recruiting Quay Russaw, the 5-star edge from Carver and Montgomery, for the first time in the past week, he was referred to me as an outside linebacker.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I have been following y'all and I've seen all kind of the updates. So just to say this before I hang up, I enjoy y'all doing this show. Jhead, Jeffrey Lee, Cole Pinkston, Justin Hokinson. I love what y'all doing. Y'all keep it up, man. War Eagle.
Appreciate you, Jeremy.
Buddy.
Appreciate you, Jeremy. Don't forget Zach in the front.
Yeah.
He's the true MVP, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, Blake R. I told you not to do that, but we sure do appreciate you, big dog.
Seriously.
Sure do appreciate that.
0923. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
Hey, good afternoon, you guys. This is Angie Bell.
Hey,
What's up, Angie Bell? Where are you calling from, Angie?
Union Springs.
Okay.
Hey, I know that area very well.
I bet you do.
We're about 45 minutes from Auburn.
Yeah.
There you go.
What is on your mind tonight, Angie?
Well, I just want to call y'all and let y'all know me and my husband love listening to y'all in the afternoon. And
Really?
I'm hoping that Auburn is looking good next year since we got some new offensive linemen. And I saw that big boy we just got.
Mm-hmm.
6'7".
Yep. 6'7",
Auburn
300.
be great again.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, a lot of news, Angie, this morning. Tyler Johnson, big offensive tackle from Natchitoches. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that correctly.
That's
Committed to Auburn. Jordan Brown. Is that not right, Zach?
I think that's pretty close. That's
I
how
think it's spot on, dude. Don't doubt
I think
me.
it's fantastic.
Jordan Brown, the offensive lineman from Charlotte, transfer offensive line. He's a big dude. Both of these guys are huge. He's going to be leaving his visit tomorrow. So getting offensive linemen committed. Auburn's making pushes for other offensive linemen. Connor Liu was in town on an official visit this weekend. Lots of offensive linemen. Hugh Freeze is going to check in on a former 5-star OT today or tonight in Amari Kite, the transfer from Alabama from Thompson. So a lot of offensive line news coming out of Auburn, and we're expecting it to only get more, to be more and get better as the week goes on. So, yeah, Angie, a lot to be excited about on the offensive line. And listen, this morning I was covering the guys leaving, and there was a coach came over to us, and you wouldn't believe the excitement in his voice, in his face, in his body language about Hugh Freeze and how big of a stud recruiter this guy is. He said, "You guys are going to see a bunch of studs coming through here in the next years. This guy is going to get it done." It was the tone in his voice, his body language. It was just you had to believe him, and so a lot to be excited about. And I tell you what, I didn't know if I was going to be sold immediately on Hugh Freeze as the recruiter, but 3 weeks into it, I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close. Zach, keep us going, big dog. Thanks, Angie. We appreciate your call. You and your husband.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
1510. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Henderson Hardrick. I'm calling from Shelbyville, Tennessee.
Oh, Anthony. What's up, Anthony? I think that's right.
It's
Henderson.
Oh, Henderson. That's what I said. That's what I said. What's up, Henderson?
That's cool. Well, guys, first of all, I want to say Wardell Eagles been a beautiful Sunday.
It
Yes,
sure has
sir.
been.
So I got a couple of questions. What's anybody know the info on the two guys from Montgomery? You know, is there a big chance that they end up at Auburn?
Okay, fair enough. He's Henderson is talking about 5-star Quay Russaw, the edge / outside linebacker. Also, the 5-star defensive lineman James Smith. Both of those guys were in Alabama this weekend on an official visit. They've already taken an official visit to Auburn. They can return for a second. Hugh Freeze has already stopped by Madhouse Training, where they train in Montgomery twice, I believe, and he'll be back again this week. Hope is that Auburn will get these guys back on campus at some point, whether it's a midweek visit, whether it's the weekend visit, whatever. Get these guys back on campus. Henderson, I absolutely think, and I've called it this way for a while now. I don't think Auburn is the favorite, but I do think they're the dark horse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And just beside those, any inside of knowing like what defensive linemen we are trying to recruit?
Well, oh yeah. To me, Darren Reed has been a huge commitment for Auburn. The 4-star from Carver and Columbus, huge commitment. Hugh Freeze is going to see him today. He's locked in, man. He flipped from LSU, I think, a couple of weeks ago. I'm trying to think, Jhead, Cole, Justin, anybody, interior defensive lineman besides Darren Reed, besides James Smith.
I think from the high school ranks, that's pretty much what you're looking at.
There's a couple of JUCOs, Will Whitman, but mostly it's going to be a transfer portal.
Yeah,
I know that Auburn's offered. They just offered tonight. Oh gosh, what was his name? Lloyd Summerall, the transfer from Florida.
Yep.
And
there's all Pac-12 defensive tackle out of Arizona that we just offered.
right.
The kid from Louisville, Banks, just committed to Florida, unfortunately, so he's probably off the market right now. Multiple other guys at Western Michigan that we've offered at this point. So a lot of transfer portal action there, Henderson. And that's where I expect. I think it's in the upper tier where we've got some holes. We lost some guys in Kobe Wooden and a handful of others that we're going to have to replace with instant impact. You've got some good young talent in a junior college All-American. Jeffrey Imba, who you brought in last year, who still needs some development. He may or may not be ready for prime time. So you got to have somebody able to step up at that 5-tech spot. You've got a good young nose tackle in Aniche Sledge, and then you're also bringing in a good young 3-tech / 5-tech from the Columbus area that we just talked about. Probably James Smith is the only other high schooler that you need to pay attention to right now, but transfer portal wise, junior college wise, I think that's probably where you're going to see us kind of pluck. and then next year go heavy on the high school side when Hugh Freeze has a full cycle to kind of recruit these guys.
Hey,
I tell you,
Yeah.
I'd forgot. Hey, Henderson, I forgot about Tyree Weathersby. He
Yes.
he just offered Auburn just offered him in the past week. He is committed to Tennessee. He is a 4-star defensive tackle from Douglasville, Georgia. I think that is it Paulding?
I think he's the other school. Not
Okay.
I don't think he's at Paulding.
Okay. But Henderson on my hot board, high school JUCO guys: Darren Reed, James Smith, Tyree Weathersby, and then a couple of JUCOs like Quintrell Travis, Will Whitson. Those are guys that the former staff was recruiting. I'm not sure where they stand with this new staff, but those 3 guys, and we're not expecting a huge defensive line haul out of the high school JUCO ranks, at least not yet. I mean, we might see this change in the next 24 hours. As far as the transfer, we talked about Lloyd Summerall from Florida. Kyan Bars is the kid from Arizona. Yep. Keyshawn Silver from North Carolina, who's got 3 years of eligibility. Appreciate you, G. Justin. Appreciate you, big dog. Braden Fiskey, we talked about him from Western Michigan. And then Western Michigan's also got Andre Carter, who Auburn has offered more of a defensive end, as is Trace Ford, who is on campus this weekend for an official visit. Cole.
Hey, let me add this too. You now you have your coordinator in place. I think you'll see a change on this because people ask me all the time about scheme, 3-3-5. Really, just look at the front. Is he running a 3 front or a 4 front? That's what's important, and that's what they didn't know exactly. So that changes who you're going after, the types of bodies you're going after. So now that they have that in place, they'll probably start putting a few more offers out, transfer portal, maybe high school too, and close in on a few guys that they know fit in this system.
And he's run multiple front in the past, so it could be a combination of the two. You could start, you have some guys that are able to be versatile enough to play in both sides, in both fronts.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
All right, Henderson. Appreciate you, big dog.
All right.
1512. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
You're talking to Silver Fox 36.
Hello, Silver Fox.
What's going on, J. Lee?
This is Bald Fox, big dog. or as Chappie likes to say, I got scalped Fox. There you go. What's up, Silver Fox? Talk to us, buddy. What's on your mind tonight?
All right, so we got the coordinators up now. So who we get a wide receiver coach?
Justin, you hearing anything?
No, nothing past what I posted earlier.
I would say probably the 2 names that are most familiar with Freeze, and they could or could not be in play, we truly don't know, would be Missouri's wide receiver coach and the UCF wide receiver coach. Both have history with Hugh Freeze. I would probably look at those first, and then any name that Justin is able to put out in the next couple of weeks or in the next couple of days, hopefully.
Justin, for those that aren't subscribers, what have you posted on wide receivers?
Yeah, nothing's really changed. I mean, we had Grant Hurd for a while. We've had him on the list. He hasn't been removed. We have Jacob Peeler, who could be a receiver coach now. There's thought he could potentially be in the OC search, but he could be receivers coach. We heard a little bit of scuttle around Cody Burns. I haven't heard anything super concrete, but so I haven't added his name. So those are really the only strong names. There haven't been a ton of strong names right there. I mean, receivers coach is kind of one you can, to me, go find the best recruiter and plug them in. But
Silver Fox, I'm gonna throw a name at you, big dog. I'm gonna throw a name at you. It may ring a bell to you, but Justin talked about having you a stud wide a recruiter at that position. What about Curtis Looper?
That would be.
That's a possibility.
That is, he's definitely interested.
Okay.
He's definitely interested. Scott Vickery, we appreciate you. Not from Virginia. That's Scott V. I hear you, big dog. But that's the kind of guy you would want to. And now that the offensive coordinator is in place, you would think he's got some guys maybe on his list that he's going to be contacting and filling out. But it's probably going to be somebody from that, I would think. Maybe a little collaboration between Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery, but I'm guessing Philip Montgomery with the tree he has at this point. he's got a couple of dudes in mind who he want to bring in to coach those wide receivers.
Now, you mentioned that. Who would he target in the quarterback?
In the portal, nobody right now that I know of. Now, Philip Montgomery, I think was he the guy whose quarterback entered the transfer portal?
I think so.
Also, yeah.
I think it was his quarterback after Philip Montgomery got fired. His starting quarterback entered the transfer portal. Definitely a guy. And anybody looking up that guy?
Yeah, I am
right now.
He is a guy I would certainly keep an eye on as far as a quarterback, because as of today, or as of this morning, there wasn't anybody that really moved the needle for Auburn in the transfer portal. We know Auburn's looking at Hank Brown, former Liberty quarterback commitment for Hugh Freeze. He came in for an unofficial visit today, and then Marcel Reed. Both of these guys are high school guys, by the way, Silver. Marcel Reed, who is committed to Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, he was in for an official visit. So there's a couple of high school guys right there. I think Auburn will get one of the two. Probably pretty soon. I think they're comparing those two guys as far as the high school guys go, and we'll probably end up offering one and taking one. Jhead, what you got?
So Davis Breen is the kid's name from Tulsa. Threw for 3,254 yards last year and 18 touchdowns. Issue is he also threw 16 interceptions. Probably not going to fly in the SEC if I had to guess.
What year he was? Jhead, was he a young guy, older guy?
Let's see. I think he's got 2 years worth of starting experience, so he's obviously played a good bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Breen, keep an eye on him, Silver.
After 2-time preseason Heisman winner JT Daniels.
JT Daniels.
Yeah, I hadn't heard anything on him.
We have not heard it. And if he's been in the portal and Auburn's not showing interest, that kind of tells me that they're not jumping in that boat right now. Not yet.
What is that? He's on his third transfer, I think, right?
Yeah, because he went from SC to Georgia, Georgia to West Virginia. Now he's transferring again. I think I don't want to criticize a kid that I don't know, but when you transfer that many times, it makes you wonder. That's for sure.
Yeah.
DJ
Ugabaluga.
Ukulele.
yeah. That dude from Clemson. Appreciate you, Charles Allen. I checked on him. Auburn has very little interest in him at this point. So that's why I've kind of left the quarterback board blank on the big board, the transfer portal tracker for Auburn. I would imagine Auburn is we all think Auburn's going to take a transfer quarterback.
Yes.
We all think that's going to happen. We just don't know who yet. And I don't think Auburn does either. At least not in the portal currently.
Jhead, I think you said it pretty well. I think it was on our recruiting show about the portal windows and how we're at the very beginning of this thing, and there's going to be a lot more, exodus from schools here. And quarterbacks, that position, you take one guy. You don't take multiple guys like D-line. So you wait and you see what's available. If nobody jumps out at you, then you don't waste your time, right?
Absolutely. And I would say this too. I think there are a couple of G5 quarterbacks that are contemplating entering the portal, but want to do so after their bowl game. They don't want to interrupt what's going to be happening between now and the conclusion of their season. So I think you can see some bigger names from a little bit of a lower level jump into the portal at the conclusion of their season. So just kind of watch for that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was something similar to that is we know how this works. Well, you should know how it works if you follow this. And if you think that Hugh Freeze is not one way or another reaching out to quarterbacks who have not entered the portal, then you are kidding yourself. So I don't know who they are, but it's not always just the guys who've entered the portal. There's certainly going to be, you're looking out there going, hey, who's a guy that's done well that we think we could get? Yeah, and that's just reality of where we're at. That's going on all over the places. You already see coaches complaining about tampering. No way around that, man. And so if that's the game, that's the game. So I would say that too. I mean, there's probably some quarterbacks that if they could somehow through back channels convince You know, that's why sometimes you see a guy enter the portal a day later, he's committed somewhere else. Like, he didn't just do his research in one day and pick a school. You know, so.
Hey, good stuff, Silver. We appreciate your call, man.
6848. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Bryce Beulah.
All right, Bryce.
Bryce.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Nothing
Hey, I
much.
got two quick ones, and I'll get off the horn. I wanted to talk to Cole tonight. I missed him last week and all that, but so Cole, you had put out, it was more of a post. I don't think it was necessarily a story, but you had said after Hugh Freeze was hired that you kind of took a look at, some of his offenses and stuff over the years, and you said it was very similar in some ways to like Gus's kind of offenses and all that. You know, those are one of those like buzzwords, you know. So kind of walk me off the ledge of how they vary in the way that we're not going to have bowl cut over there in the dwarf Florida over there using kind of the offensive linemen going to the NFL. How is it kind of different? And then my second question again for Cole was, you had said something during the All-Star game down there about Braden Joyner. Maybe his arms were maybe a little bit too short or not ideal size, and maybe the defensive line would be better for him. Can you elaborate a little bit on that and kind of what you think his future is? It just center, and if it's not center, it's defensive line, or what? Thank you.
Yeah. So starting with Hugh Freeze's offense, specifically what I was is it looks like it formation wise. Okay, he likes to use the two backs, and he likes to have the H back in front. Sometimes uses a tight end, sometimes doesn't, but it's sort of a two-back gun in a way, which is similar to what Gus used to do. The play calling, though, is different, in my opinion, because I think the passing game was so much more advanced. I mean, he's got all kinds of concepts that he runs all throughout the game, and then he's heavy on the RPOs. So really and truly, a lot of people look at his offense and go, man, a dual threat guy is what he needs. Well, I look at his Liberty offenses, and Malik Willis is a dual threat guy, but he was in the pocket more than not. And this last guy that he had this past year, Jonathan Bennett, who y'all probably haven't even heard his name, the dude played out of his mind for Hugh Freeze several times, especially against Arkansas. My goodness.
Yeah.
And he didn't run, not a runner. So you don't have to have that dual threat quarterback like Gus's offense is needed, right? He had to have that, or it wasn't going to work. Hugh Freeze's offense is more about reads. It's more about making these reads, making sure they're crisp, they're precise, and the offense will work. Good throws, good reads, stuff like that. And then on Braden Joyner, man, I think he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's got a problem that I always had in football, just not very tall, not very lengthy. And when you translate to the next level without that length, you're going to have trouble. You just are, because everybody else is lengthy. Everybody else has that size. That's not a knock against him as a player. That's a knock against, how he's built. It works out that way, Maybe defensive line is better for him. He played defensive line in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, and he was not bad. So good plugger on the defensive line in that game.
Interesting to see what Auburn does with him, especially if they can get Connor Lew on board. And Connor Lew is he's a 3-star center, committed to Miami right now, but chose Miami over Auburn back in the summer. A lot has changed, obviously, since then. He wants to be a pilot, and Auburn has a fantastic aviation program. And he declined interviews, but I talked to somebody close to him today, and with a smile, he said he's going to have a really tough decision to make. So certainly keep an eye on that. And as far as the future of Braden Joyner goes and where he might project. Zach, keep us going. Appreciate you, Bryce.
1647. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Jeff C. from Clinton, Georgia.
Who? Jeff C. What's up, Jeff?
Okay?
Yeah.
I know that. Hey, good show, guys. That's finally something to do on Sunday night.
Appreciate you.
Hey.
Yeah. I have a comment and a question. I know y'all talked briefly just a bit ago about the quarterbacks in the portal and and a high school option. I know there was a story today about the 4-star commit, Marcel Reed. I did what probably a lot of fans do. I actually went and watched his video. Pretty impressive. I have to say the kid throws the ball on the move, especially moving left, about as good as I've seen. Doesn't seem to have a rocket arm, very mobile. I was wondering, the first question I had is there really going to be interest on both sides there? And what's the chances of getting him away from Kiffin? That would be wonderful.
If you know, he's got to be pretty decent if Lane Kiffin's after him. Lane Kiffin's a great quarterback recruiter, great quarterback coach. One thing I found interesting, and this kind of goes back, kind of ties in with what Cole was talking about earlier about the RPOs of Hugh Freeze's system. And Marcel, I talked to him this morning when he left, and the one thing that caught my eye or caught my ears was that Hugh Freeze does a lot of RPOs, and somebody asked him, "Well, are you familiar with that?" He said, "No." Which probably works against the kid, especially when you've got Hank Brown, who was already committed to Liberty under Hugh Freeze, visiting right after Marcel left today. So Marcel Reed doesn't have an offer. He did say that he is under the assumption that if he wants to come to Auburn, there's an offer for him to beat. I don't know that I believe that. I think I wrote about this on the corner today, but I feel like one of those guys, I think I might have talked about it earlier in the show. I think Auburn's looking at those two guys to decide which one they want to make a move on. I think with Marcel Reed, there are some conflicting scouting reports on him. I think some are higher on him than others, and I think there's a lot of familiarity there with Hank Brown and Hugh Freeze in the offense, and so it'll be interesting to see what Auburn does. I feel like a decision will be made pretty soon, but I thought that was interesting, Jeff, that Marcel Reed does not do a lot of the RPOs or is not familiar with RPO. He's familiar with it. He just doesn't run it in high school.
Well, the video I saw, he was running a lot of read option stuff, and he was very mobile. I was just really impressed with him.
Okay.
I've not heard the name. So.
Hey, you're not alone. There are others. Like I said, there's some that aren't as high on him. There are others that are very high on him. That's why he was on campus this weekend.
Yeah. Well, Montgomery Bell's a good program.
Yeah.
Just like Lipscomb is, where the other kids from.
All right.
I guess my other question, I appreciate y'all answering now. I guess the other question is, who do you think the first chip will be to fall in the portal for Auburn? I'd like to get each one of you to comment on that.
I appreciate you call, Jeff. Good question. Auburn had several guys in the portal right now. You got to think if somebody's going to be first, they're going to have visited by now or have visited before making a decision. Jordan Thomas, the offensive lineman from Jordan Brown. I'm sorry, Jordan Brown. Jordan Brown, the big offensive lineman from Charlotte. He'll be leaving tomorrow. Dante Thornton, the badass playmaker from Oregon, it will be leaving tomorrow. And then you had Trace Ford, also in on a visit. Ra Thomas from Mississippi State visited unofficially last week, coming back supposed to this weekend. Those four guys, to my knowledge, have offers. They have visited Auburn, and I would think if the first portal chip was going to fall, it would be one of those guys. And not necessarily because some of these guys in the portal have been to Auburn several times before in high school.
Right.
But just Jeff, I would say one of those four guys. And Jhead, would you agree?
I'm going to go with Fairweather, the tight end from FIU. I think that's the direction I'm going to go with the first one, even though we've got another tight end coming in.
Rivaldo.
Shorter next week. I do like what I've heard with regard to Dante Thornton as far as that's concerned. We'll see how that goes. I think there may be, and this is just me spitballing here, contingent on what you have at that position in high school recruiting, there may be Auburn may not try to push for a portal guy right now at certain positions so as not to scare certain high school prospects. I think there is a delicate balance that you have to play. Wide receiver and tight end is a position where we're not really actively recruiting a whole lot of high school targets,
right?
Which is kind of where my thought is that you're not in jeopardy of losing somebody by going all in on a guy like that. So those are probably my two picks.
Well said, dude. Well said. The transfer guy I feel most confident about is Fairweather. However, he has said that he wants to wait and this and that. So I have the most confidence in him. I just don't know when, if somebody will go before then.
I'm starting to like where Auburn sits more with Ra Thomas personally.
Hey.
I'm starting to like where they sit more. I don't know. I think he's got so many offers. I think he's going to take those a few visits. So I think it might not be the first chip to fall, but I do like Auburn's stance with him as it sits today. And Fairweather. I like where Auburn sits with Fairweather as well. I don't know. That's a tough question.
Hey, I'm gonna give you Jeff. I'm gonna end this for you right now, big dog. It's going to be Jordan Thomas.
Okay.
Is that Jordan Brown? That's what I said. That's what I said, Coach. Here's why. Jordan Brown doesn't have the offers and the attention that the others guys do.
Yeah.
Ra's got Ole Miss. He's got Georgia. He's got Tennessee. Dante Thornton has got Penn State all up his crawl. So there's a lot of schools and probably going to be some more visits for those guys. So I'm by default going to choose Jordan Brown. Jordan Brown, the big offensive lineman from Charlotte. And before we go to the next one, Zach, I wanted to holler back at Angie. I forgot to mention Isaiah Jhead was in town today. Number 2 offensive tackle in junior college. He was in for an official visit. Talked to him after he left. He's committed to South Carolina. But, man, Auburn made a big push with him. Keontae Scott's his former teammate up there at Snow College. He hosted him all weekend. The kid had a very good time. A lot of people around the program think Auburn has a very good shot with him. And, listen, he's the number 2 JUCO offensive tackle. The number 1 JUCO offensive tackle, Xavier Miller, who's committed to Ole Miss under
Jake Thornton,
who is now the Auburn offensive line coach. Top 2 junior college offensive tackles. Auburn is in very, very good position for both. Keep us going, Zach.
7816. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
How's it going, guys? This is Matt from Lynchburg, Virginia, actually. Just ironically, longtime Auburn fan.
Okay.
What's on your mind tonight, Matt?
2 questions, and I'll hop off and let you guys discuss. I wondered, Hugh obviously needs to be out recruiting, but I wondered if there's any pushback for him as a play caller, just because we've had so many play callers, head coaches the last little bit. So maybe that could be a little bit of a factor. And then lineman stuff. So Will Friend comes in. He's generally a decent recruiter where he's been, but it seems like something maybe stifled him while he was at Auburn. So I thought you guys had any thoughts on that now that we're in all of these recruiting battles with these linemen nowadays. So appreciate what you do, and I'm going to hop off.
Thanks for the call, Matt. We appreciate it. I will say I talked to somebody today who was talking about Will Friend, and he was recruiting. Let me tell you something. Will Friend was gone after this year, whether Auburn was 1-11 or 12-0. Will Friend was not going to be back. He was recruiting with one hand behind his back, and it was very difficult. Auburn could get some guys on campus. They couldn't get any commitments. But Jake Thornton, man, I'm telling you, this kid's 29 years old, and he is a little stud. People love this guy. And I feel like Auburn's offensive line recruiting with Hugh Freeze especially is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And on Thornton real quick, like, since people sometimes don't know, did they want him, or maybe he was being put, like, there's, people try to paint a narrative, right? Like, depending on who it is. I can tell you that Thornton, when he spoke with Lane Kiffin and said, I'm going to Auburn, I can tell you Lane Kiffin was pissed. He was not happy. So I mean, that's a quality coach. You're talking about Lane Kiffin's the guy everybody wanted. And that guy absolutely did not want to lose Jake Thornton. So I'm no expert, but that says a lot to me about what
absolutely
potential is.
He had a big hand in the reason that Ole Miss was able to go from rushing for 300 yards one week and then throwing for 300 yards the next week because his offensive line was versatile. He recruited it well, and you can look at the stars, and you may not be all that impressed, but when I was doing research on him and I put together, the interesting facts about him, the two guys that he recruited in the 2021 class were 3-stars, tackles. They started at left and right tackle in their second years there, both redshirt freshmen, and they had one of the best offensive lines in the country. I mean, you can't say they didn't. They had some of the best stats in the country, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Most people go by stats when it comes to offensive line. That's really all you can go by, unless you break it down on every single play and say this and this. But yeah, I mean, the stats were good. They ran the ball with ease at times, and had some guys that were first-year starters doing it. So,
yeah, and I'm not going to go all cold Kubiak and try to break down every play. I think we'll avoid that. But what I will say is that Jake Thornton's mentor is Brent Key, one of the best recruiting offensive line coaches in the country, who's now the head coach at Georgia Tech. And the word was he was headed to Georgia Tech to coach under Brent Key until Hugh Freeze stepped in and was able to convince him that Auburn was a much better landing spot. Right. So I will say this, if he's that highly regarded by Brent Key, Auburn should consider themselves damn lucky to get a recruiter like him, and then to also keep Joe Bernardi.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Kendall Simmons to help also coach in that room. That's huge for us.
Jake Thornton, Joe Bernardi, Kendall Simmons, dude, it's going to be fun. And I think it says a lot about Jake Thornton. You're not a 28-year-old offensive line coach at Mississippi or a 29-year-old offensive line coach at Auburn if you're not a freaking stud.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, you're an analyst.
For the record, Tyler Johnson, who Jake Thornton helped land this morning for Auburn, 3-star offensive tackle from Natchitoches, Louisiana. I really like that guy. When we saw him at Big Cat Weekend, we both kind of, exchanged looks like, man, that guy, he's got the OT look. 100%.
He looked good today.
And, he's raw, but these are the kind of guys that
you got to have developmental guys in there too, man.
Sure. And he's done well with guys like that. So,
and I don't know what he plays like. I haven't broken down his film the way you have, Cole, but he looks on the hoof like Marcus McNeil, like Marcus McNeil. That's what. Oh shit. That's what he looked like back in the day. You know what I mean?
3 people in the chat who said that earlier in the show when y'all brought him up.
Really?
Marcus McNeil.
Well, and
how tall?
Marcus was a basketball player.
6'7".
And that's the same situation as Tyler Johnson. He was predominantly a basketball player, only started playing football, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Tyler has the look, and I remember he has the look of like a center in basketball, right?
Yeah.
Just a tall, lean guy, but he's above 280. We know that for sure. So,
and I checked, his ankles are like golf balls, dude.
Skinny ankles.
Athletic.
Matt, I don't even know if we answered your question, but you got some good intel out of it, if nothing else. Zach, keep us going. We appreciate you, Matt.
0506. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Oh, this is old Hogbone over
here.
Hey.
Oh, Hogbone.
All right.
Appreciate you gracing us with your presence.
Hey, we're going up, man. We moving from shelf with Evan Williams. We're going up on that top shelf, baby.
Oh, Woodford Reserve. Here we come.
Here we go. Hey, I got one question for you guys, and I want to keep this thing rolling. Let everybody talk. This Miami Central package, is what I call it. This little package of guys down there is a quarterback a key to that thing? And I kind of like the way that quarterback wants to come to Auburn. I love that heart in that young man.
Yeah.
Can you illuminate a little bit that situation for us? I appreciate it.
All right, Hogbone, appreciate your call, Big Dog. Miami Central is home to quarterback Keywan Jenkins, who is committed to Auburn. They also have wide receiver Lamar Seymour, who's committed to Pitt. They have 4-star edge Ruben Bain, who is uncommitted, looking at Auburn, Miami, Alabama. I think there's some others in there as well. And then the linebacker Stanquan Clark, who's committed to Louisville. 4 of those guys, all close friends, all teammates. Keywan Jenkins is committed to Auburn. Ruben Bain is his first cousin. Keywan is still committed to Auburn. He talked to Hugh Freeze. He's going to come up for an official visit Friday. He is also expected to bring with him Ruben Bain. Now, Reuben Bain, the Seymour kid that's committed to Pitt, I don't think Auburn is interested in him any longer. So it's going to be Keywan Jenkins, Reuben Bain. Stanquan Clark is still a top linebacker target. He's committed to Louisville. Christian Robinson went and visited with him last week. Auburn's going to hope to get those three guys up next weekend. I really don't see if Rock Bellantoni was still here, Reuben Bain's going to sign with Auburn. He was silently committed, believe it or not, when Rock Bellantoni was here. With Rock Bellantoni gone, a lot of ground to make up with him. Reuben, and we talked about Christian Robinson and those outside linebacker spots. Did y'all happen to notice that he was visiting all those edges last week?
Sure was.
Yeah.
So Hogbone, to answer your question, Keywan Jenkins is probably, if you don't take him, you're not going to get Reuben Bain. If you take him, there's a chance. Get Reuben back on campus next weekend, and your chances go a little bit higher.
And I will say this, from the War Chant guys, it looks like Reuben Bain listed a top 2 today of Florida State and Miami, and a likely visit to Miami this coming Saturday, with the off chance of coming to Auburn.
Yeah, I've dropped him considerably, and I don't see it happening at this point. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Hogbone, good call, big dog. We appreciate you, man. Zach, keep us going.
2176. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
How you guys doing?
Good.
Hello?
Hey, man, who's on the line? Where are you calling from?
This is Chris from Helena.
What's up, Chris from Helena? What's on your mind tonight, big dog?
Well, I know y'all went over it before, but I just have 2 quick questions. I'll get off the line. What is the new DC? What kind of defense does he run? And the second question is, I know you said about the portal quarterbacks. What do you think about the Spencer kid from Oklahoma State? And I hung up on that.
Good stuff, Chris. Good question. Jhead, take the first one. That DC you talked about. His he runs a variable defensive front, or
he runs a variable defense, multiple fronts. So he's based out of a 3-man and a 4-man front. He's run schemes of 3-3-5, 4-2-5, and even some 3-4 looks when he was out at Baylor. And I think that was more of a mesh with what Aranda has done. He's been a 3-4 guy pretty much his whole career. But I think you're probably going to see mostly 4-2-5, 3-3-5 stack from him. A lot of blitzes coming from a lot of different places. A good mix of zone and man in the back end. Not a lot of combo coverage as far as that's concerned. But I need to watch a little bit more tape to get a cleaner understanding. A lot of what I'm telling you right now is what I've read and not been able to truly watch and diagnose. But somebody on this staff currently and presently coached with Ron Roberts at the University of Louisiana, and it's my understanding that he thinks highly of him. So I would say that this is the kind of guy that you give him the players, you put recruiters on his staff that can put talent in the rooms, he's going to design a defense that's going to keep you competitive in each and every game and probably have a top 25 type defense.
And as far as Sanders goes, Chris, Spencer Sanders, I think he's been a 4-year starter at Oklahoma State. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. Dude's thrown for about 2,000 yards every year he's been there, if I'm not mistaken there, Zach. That, to me, is the type of quarterback Auburn should be looking for this year, because a guy like that, you're probably an immediate – you're competitive immediately if you get a guy like that, right? Mm-hmm. If you get a guy like that and some of these receivers that we think Auburn has a very good shot with, like Dante Thornton and Ra Thomas, you get those guys, your passing game looks a lot better. So does it. So does the protection. If you can land a couple of those JUCO guys, offensive tackles, some transfer offensive linemen, before you know it, you've got a pretty damn good looking offense on paper, at least. Yeah. But I did see a report that thought I think Sanders was flirting with Notre Dame. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but Chris, I haven't heard Auburn actively involved with him to this point, but I would think a guy like him is exactly who Auburn needs to be going after. Good stuff, though. That's going to be fun to watch. There's some running back too that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. He hasn't entered the portal, but there's some, and he's a good one. Auburn will take a running back with him. Zach, keep us going before I talk myself into
5960. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
What's going on, guys? Edward from Sim.
My buddy.
What's going on, man?
Edward, you killed any big bucks lately? Oh, please don't tell me we lost Edward.
Oh.
Edward, we still got you. You can call back in, man. You can call
Edward.
back. I'll
Edward, we're gonna put you to the front, big dog.
Yes, call back in. I got you. We'll take another call while you call back in though. 3624. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
That's the guy who got Edward.
24. You're live.
Hey, man.
Hey.
This is Chappie. I called earlier, but I got cut off.
Oh, Chappie, you started the show so good.
Okay, yeah. I forgot to acknowledge Zach and Justin for their work.
Chappie, you're a good soul, aren't you,
Going to
buddy?
be calling the plays. I went to John Carroll. I lived 15 minutes as a crow flies north of there, and Wilkie Denard is a stud.
Mm-hmm. That's a defensive lineman.
He needs a little coaching.
Yep, there you go, Jhead.
But man, I'm telling you, he is a stud. He's a stud.
He is a good player.
And I grew up in Gadsden, Alabama, and that's where Cadillac was from. He played at Etowah. That was a city school, and I went to a county school. But anyways, I got cut off. But I appreciate you guys once again, and I hope you all have a blessed evening.
Appreciate you, Chappie.
Don't hang up. I got a quick question for you. Did you also go to school with Derek Nix, who was from Etowah County, just a few years older than you guys?
I graduated in 2000.
The only reason I was so fascinated that you could have two backs like that in 4 years time period of having Derek Nix and Cadillac Williams in the same backfield.
Yeah, I know it, man. Was he from Alexandria?
Guy Forks, my man. Was Derek Nix from Alexandria? Thank you, Guy Forks. We appreciate the hell out of that.
I know you are in a hurry. Love you guys. Appreciate your content.
Appreciate you, Chappie. I appreciate you. Had two good calls tonight, man. We appreciate you. We were talking about defensive lineman earlier. Wilkie Denard is committed as an edge, but we fully expect him to either slide down to that strong side end position. I guess we can start using strong side, weak side again, maybe.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yes, let's go. All right. Wilkie Denard, I got to keep an eye on. Zach, keep us going. Edward, call back in?
I think so.
Oh, yeah,
5960.
All right. Edward, you need some more. You need some deer meat, don't you?
Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna get a little bit.
All right. You need me to come down there and get you one?
Hey, I extended the invitation. I can't come down there and dry you down.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I believe Holden sitting back like Lee Corso said, not so fast, my friend. You got Kiffin, you got Montgomery, you got Austin. I mean, not Kiffin, you got Montgomery, Freeze, and Austin. Man, that's a hell of a combination for a young quarterback.
You ain't kidding.
Holden gonna have something to say about this starting quarterback.
Ooh, Edward makes a good point.
Point guard.
You got Kent. Let's don't forget about Kent Austin, right?
Absolutely.
No.
That's what I'm saying. I named him Austin, Freeze, and Montgomery.
Yeah, you brought it up. I'd forgotten about him.
Somebody that's precise with the football is what I'm saying. The RPO is all timing. And I believe Holden, man, when they get this offensive line solidified, I believe Holden going to really have something to say about who take on the center day one, starting next year. But a guy I wanted to ask you about had Liberty offer, Cam Shanks. I watched him play a couple of times, and I've been there. I think he's the most electric player in the state of Alabama with the ball in his hand.
Is that the kid from Prattville?
Yeah. Where Auburn may come back late and offer him. I hadn't heard anybody talking about him for his Auburn, but
I think Cole's mentioned him.
He's from Prattville. I just watched him in the Alabama Mississippi All-Star game. Dude was awesome, man. He was awesome, and he's committed to Liberty. Small guy. He's real small, but he was shaking people in routes and getting open and made the big plays that brought the Alabama team back to win it on a comeback victory there. So, man, I was impressed. I was impressed with him. I just don't know if they're going to offer him, though. I don't know. I'm watching that. I don't think they'll take that many guys on the receiver class. It sounds like DeQuavius Story from Chipley stay in the class. Eric Singleton's another guy that they offered Western Kentucky commit. And then you got these transfer receivers. So we'll see.
And Eric Singleton is sorry, Edward. Eric Singleton is a new offer. He's committed to Western Kentucky. He's, if I'm not mistaken, he's a lot like Cam Shanks. They're very similar. He's about 5'9", kind of a Jay Fair mold, slot guy. Got some wiggle to him. But if that's the case, then you obviously got to think that they're a little bit higher on Eric Singleton than they are on Cam Shanks.
Yeah, probably.
That's what I was wondering about him being committed to him at Liberty. I know Shanks, the value in the kick return and punt return. I'm just looking to see Auburn get a hell of a kick return and punt returner because I ain't seen that in a long time at all. Somebody that every time the ball touches his hand, you got an opportunity for the band to play. That's what I want.
Yeah, you hold your breath.
I tell you what, Edward, if it were me, I probably would have somebody reach out to Brett Whiteside and see what kind of preferred walk-on offer we might be able to scrounge up for a guy like Shanks. Figure out a way to get that scholarship paid for a different way without necessarily having to put him on your 85.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the real deal.
And Edward, Jhead makes a good point, man. They are convinced that they need to upgrade their walk-on program, and you're going to start seeing some dudes as walk-ons with some money on the side with the NIL with On to Victory. He could certainly be a guy to keep an eye on when. Edward, you're a good call, dude. We appreciate it, man. Always got good stuff for us.
I like talking to y'all guys, man. Y'all have a good day, man.
You too, big dog. Hope to hear from you next week. C-Dub, Cole.
Yeah, Corey.
Appreciate you, C-Dub. Wants to know, it's a great question. Keldrick Falk, 4-star defensive end, committed to Florida State. What do you think, Cole?
Yes. Auburn does have a legitimate shot with Keldrick Falk. I feel pretty confident in saying that. Do they win out in the end? I don't know. I'm leaning right now still like 55% towards Florida State because I just know those relationships. He tells me every time those are just so big for him. But Jeremy Garrett, man, he's working hard on that one. He is really working hard on that. And he understands the importance of this guy from small town in Alabama. How in the world did you let him slip away the first time? We can't let that happen again. We're going to try to lock him down. So they're working really hard to do it, and I think they're going to have a shot in the end. But I'm still leaning a little bit towards Florida State as of today. But Auburn's moving back towards the middle, I think.
And of interest, C-Dub, is that Hugh Freeze went again today to make an in-home visit with Keldrick Falk. He went to see Darren Reed, he went to see Keldrick Falk, and he went to see Amari Kite, the former 5-star. Good stuff, C-Dub, and we appreciate the tip, man, although we do not ask for it. All we do ask for, if you've got a chance right now, everybody, hit that subscribe button to our YouTube channel. We appreciate the hell out of that. Keep us going there, Zach.
5810, you're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Fellas, Anthony from Montgomery.
I was looking for you, Anthony.
Yeah, I heard you call somebody my name earlier.
Yeah, I was thinking about you, baby. Freudian slip, son. I got Anthony out of Henderson.
Yeah. Quick question. Update on what's his name? Johnny Cornelius.
Johnny Cornelius, absolutely.
Second question is Roberts to DC. What position do he coach throughout his career? And I let you guys talk.
Justin, what's his background? Do you know? Or I think somebody said linebackers.
Yeah, how many of them are? Yeah, inside linebackers is what he coached at.
There you go.
Inside linebackers.
There's where C-Rob gets his spot at outside backers. If Roberts can coach the inside backers, you move C-Rob out to outside linebackers. He's worked with Zach Etheridge before. That means Zach, probably C-Rob, both are safe, which would be huge for a little continuity, if nothing else, in recruiting. Johnny Cornelius, the top transfer offensive tackle target from Rhode Island. Zach loves this kid, and for good reason. Joe Bernardi and Jake Thornton both went up to make an in-home visit with him. I think it was Thursday or Friday hell, I don't even know what today is. Today's Sunday. It might have been yesterday. I don't remember. But they're hoping to get him on campus. It's not going to be easy because everybody's after him. Everybody's after that guy. Everybody got NIL money for offensive tackles like him. So, it's not like going to be a slam dunk because Auburn's going to pay him more. Everybody wants an offensive tackle like him, and it's not going to be easy. So let's see if I hope to have something on him this week. I really do. I've been working hard on him behind the scenes, and hope to see if he can if Auburn's got a shot with him, if Auburn can get him down on a visit, and then we'll go from there.
3122, you're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Gracie from Birmingham.
Gracie?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Gracie. Is that right?
How y'all doing tonight?
Okay, Gracie. Doing well, Gracie. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I was just imagining, I heard there might be talks with Peter Woods and everything, the Clemson commit. I was just curious if y'all have heard anything about that, and if Russo and Smith commit and they get Falk. I wonder if Woods will wait till February to sign and consider coming and joining them at Auburn.
Good question, Gracie. Appreciate you calling, man. I tell you what, Cole, everything I heard from the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game and the practice leading up to it was Peter Woods was on a different level.
He is, man. And you know what? He's a little bit like we were talking about Braden Joyner. He's not really the ideal, size, I guess, for an interior defensive lineman. Doesn't have that great length. A little bit shorter than you would think, but man, he got after it. I mean, he was in the backfield every single play. They couldn't do anything about it. Practice, game, all that. As far as Auburn talking to him, I mean, they may have, but he's going to go with Clemson.
Yeah, yeah. I don't, Gracie. I don't see Auburn becoming a major player for him. Even though, hell, I mean, it says a lot that Alabama's not either. He's going. To me, it seems like he's stuck. He's locked on with Clemson. But listen to this possible defensive line class: Russo, Smith, Keldrick Faulk, James Smith,
Darren Reed.
We talked about Wilkie.
Yep. Brenton
Williams. This has the potential to be one of the better defensive line classes we've seen in a long time.
Yep.
Potential to be. We'll see how it shakes out. 10 more days. Zach, keep us going. Good call, Gracie. Appreciate you, big dog.
1339, you're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. This is Bourbon Bowl 2.0 on your guys' site, and Bourbon Bowl on another site Jay Lee and Jhead are familiar with.
Yeah.
I'm calling from Dothan, Alabama.
All right, Urban Bowl, what's up with you?
Just one quick question about the assistants. How many spots are left to fill?
Very good question, Urban. We know what Justin. Justin, this is you.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm giving
wide receiver.
Wide receiver. I clicked the wrong damn link. I mean, we're assuming linebackers, and we're assuming that we think we know how that might fall into place in terms of C-Rob staying at linebacker, Zach Etheridge staying with the DBs. If that happens, you've got Garrett. You need a receivers coach. You need a quarterback coach officially, I guess, if that's Ken Austin or Philip Montgomery. Like, who exactly is the quarterback coach specifically? Other than that, Carnell's your running back coach. Ben Aguamaya, I guess it's my best shot. It's tight end coach. Jake Thornton at O-line. Wesley McGriff, DB. So, I mean, assuming Christian Robinson stays on, assuming Zach Etheridge stays on, it's receivers coach and then who officially is coaching the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and they're already on staff. We just don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah.
So basically one spot left to fill, one coaching vacancy left to fill, because we feel like Wesley McGriff, Zach Etheridge will be your secondary coaches, splitting up safeties and cornerbacks. You got to think Roberts and Christian Robinson are going to coach your linebackers inside and out. And I was about to get to that, C-Web. Jeremy Garrett, your defensive line, Jake Thornton. Your only office that's still empty is the wide receivers coach. And the position is, as Justin said, the positions left to fill are your quarterback coach and special teams coordinator, and you got to think one of these position coaches will take on the role of the special teams coordinator.
And it looks like Montgomery was the quarterback coach at Baylor and Houston at his last couple stops. So it doesn't mean he's going to be, but that's kind of been his role before. So I don't know what they're going to do there.
Yeah, I would suspect that that Austin's going to be an analyst, which was what we initially kind of thought, and help out in that room. My guess is that C-Rob will probably be your special teams coach in addition to outside linebackers coach. When he was a GA at Ole Miss, he helped with the special teams as far as that was concerned. And then potentially maybe an analyst come on, a full-time special teams analyst to help whoever the position coach is that assumes that role. That would be my guess.
Good stuff, UB. Keep us rolling there, Zach.
5407. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
It's Justin from Nashville.
What's up, Justin?
How are y'all tonight?
We're doing fantastic now that you've called in, big dog. What's on your mind?
So, speaking of Montgomery, he seems sort of like what Freeze was talking about at the press conference when he was talking about concepts where I can help you inside the 20s. Because he's bringing what he said, he's bringing the Brow system to Auburn. And if that's the case, I think he brings his own wide receivers coach, one, and two, I don't care who coach special teams. I'll go for nothing. So I don't care. It don't matter. It's not important. Just keep getting top flight kickers and let it ride. But I want to see what y'all thought about Montgomery coming and if that's what y'all thought that sort of correlated to. Thanks, guys.
Hey, appreciate you, Justin. We appreciate it. Does anybody have any – I mean, I think we all agreed that the offensive coordinator's going to have a say-so in his wide receivers. At least he's got one guy, right? At least he's got one position, one office to fill, or at least to have a say-so in that. Otherwise, why the hell has it not been filled? Unless Hugh's got somebody and they're still playing. So
my guess on that is that there was the potential that the wide receivers coach could also be the offensive coordinator.
That's right.
Now that position has been filled, I think that the head coach, with probably the sign-off from the offensive coordinator, will select the wide receiver coach. I feel comfortable on that. I think Hugh's got full autonomy as far as picking people. Because here's the thing. He picked basically the entire defensive staff if Christian Robinson and Zach stay.
Right.
He's predominantly picked, and typically speaking, and Justin can jump in this more than I can, offensive coordinators typically pick their offensive line coach because that's a situation where it kind of needs to be hand in the glove a little bit. You need to understand each other.
Right.
The good thing about Montgomery is what he does, a lot of that Baylor offense is incorporated some into Freeze's offense. It's a smash mouth spread offense where they're going to reuse those wide splits and an RPO passing game as far as that's concerned. So there is some philosophical similarities, I would say. Not every bit of the offense is the same, but there are some similarities and enough there for you to mesh those concepts and probably come out with a really, really good product. But I've just got to think, and, just to make sure he gets to sign off, Grant Hurd, to me, just makes so much sense as far as a recruiter and receivers coach that knows Freeze. That seems almost too easy right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? For it to be anybody else. But watch, I'll be wrong like I have been on every other hire to this point.
Well, it just makes too much sense. And I think everybody thought it was pretty much a done deal, and not just us.
Right.
Because it made so much sense. But curious to see what happens. I think even people at UCF at one point thought he was gone.
Yeah. Put up a hot board.
And maybe they did. And maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe see what I don't know is, Roberts and Montgomery, of all the names and pretty much everybody I named interviewed, some of those guys on that tracker were literally in Auburn last week. And I didn't report it because I was told not to. So Roberts and Montgomery were either kept pretty close to the vest, clearly. But what I don't know is, for instance, does he want Montgomery to interview the receiver? Like if it's Grant Hurd, is it like, hey, you're the guy. Let me get the OC so you can have a conversation before we make it official. Mm-hmm. Maybe I don't know how
formality
Montgomery came about. I think Roberts and Montgomery both came about. I don't think those names have been in there for 2 weeks. From what I think those were, for whatever reason. Montgomery's just a head coach. He probably could have sat out. Roberts had choices, thought he was going to Arkansas, whatever. To your point, Jhead, about Freeze picking the staff, for sure. I mean, I can tell you that for instance, a guy like Charles Kelly, Kelly had a lot of support, and Hugh Freeze did not choose him. So I mean, he definitely had autonomy over that staff, because if he didn't, Charles Kelly would be the DC. And he kind of went against the grain a little bit there and said, I hear you, but I'm going to hire who I think's best there. So it kind of does sort of confirm that he definitely had some autonomy. And real quick, I found the quote from Freeze at the press conference just because they were talking about OC. And Freeze he basically said, I'm sitting here contemplating if in the new world of rebuilding Auburn football and the work it's going to take to capture the players and recruit, maybe I should get some help in that. Really what kind of spurred it on is some of the texts I've gotten. I've watched them and I'm like, wow, they're really good at what they do, probably better than me. I think I'm good at it, but I'm honest. He goes, when I watch some of their games, I think they could help me with their red zone and they could really help us with everything else. I'm wide open right now and looking forward to having. So that was kind of his comment about offense. He certainly mentioned red zone, but he obviously also mentioned just what it takes to run a program. And hey, if I can find the guy, it sure would be nice to focus on those other things. And I think Montgomery checks a bunch of those boxes to give it to him and go, I have complete faith that guy knows what he's doing across the board. I don't have to overlook that guy. That guy can organize an offense.
Absolutely. If he can organize an entire team in the American Conference, this isn't a JUCO, no offense to, Pearl River Community College, but this is the premier G5 league in the country. And he was the head coach there and ran a successful offense. So definitely feel encouraged that it's in good hands on that.
Hey, good stuff, Justin. Appreciate you, man. Keep us going, Zach.
Last caller of the night, 5746. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
This is Jesse from Bremen.
Jesse.
I have like a two-part question. Part one, how do we feel about Tony Mitchell?
There it is.
And
no comment.
You actually just answered it in the question before, so that's just the main question.
Okay. Hey, that's a fair question, man. Tony Mitchell, the former 5-star, now 4-star defensive back from Thompson, who's committed to Alabama. He visited Auburn I don't know how many times. I think he was at more Auburn games than I was. And Auburn has made a big push for him. Zach Etheridge has a very good relationship with not only him but his parents as well. And there's a serious threat there from Auburn. As a matter of fact, Cole, you talked about Keldrick Falk and that you'd probably have it 50, just a little hat tip to Florida State in his recruitment. And I think I do too. I think I've got him on the hot board as 45% versus 55 against the field. But both of those guys, if I were to do a mock class today, I would probably have them in it. I would have Tony in there. I really feel like Auburn's got a shot with him. I think the relationships there with Zach Etheridge and the familiarity with the campus and the program is how many times he's been down there. I really feel like Tony Mitchell is a legit option for Auburn, a legit flip candidate for Auburn, and I think I would have him in my mock class, and I probably would throw – no, I'm not ready for that, Cole. I'm right there with you, big dog. I'm right, Keldrick Falk. I'm right there with you. But not yet. Ask me next week. Ask me next week.
And to your point, Jeffrey, relationships in high school recruiting, it's like a 24-month period when you're recruiting a high school kid. It really is. It's a marathon. Whereas the portal is the Kentucky Derby. I mean, you're off.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Completely different dynamics.
About Keldrick too. Not only was Braden Joyner in his ear during practices, Jeremiah Cobb let me know he was in his ear as well. These two are working really hard on Keldrick. They're friends with him, all kind of from the Highland Homes, close to the Montgomery area, and the Auburn area kind of ties it all in there. So they've become pretty close. We'll see. That's why I'm thinking Auburn. A lot of things have Auburn moving in the right direction for that one.
What would that Montgomery class look like potentially? Just guys from Montgomery, my gosh.
Potentially,
You could just lock it down.
Jeez, and I don't remember it. I mean, I'm trying to think back of the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years. I mean, good players come from Montgomery, but I mean, just guys coming to Auburn, that's a ton of talent.
I would think back when Auburn had the pipeline to Trinity with the Edens boys, with Tommy Trott.
Yep.
But you're talking about Jeremiah Cobb, potentially. Jeremiah Cobb, just from Montgomery, Jesse. But to answer your question, Tony Mitchell, absolutely, Auburn has a chance. And I think Auburn has a better chance with him than they do with Falk. That's just me personally right now.
I would with you on that.
Montgomery, though, Jeremiah Cobb, Keldrick Falk, Rusall, Smith. I mean, do you need any more?
Right.
Right.
Elite. That's like the best players in the class.
That's 4 guys who will play on Sundays. Most people think. Most people that know more than me.
Guys in the Montgomery area moving up too that all train at Madhouse with these guys, and Malik Blocked and Anthony Rogers. Guys
Anthony
like
Rogers, yeah. Yep.
So
and and listen, if you don't think Auburn prioritizes that city and that Madhouse training, I think they've been to Madhouse 3 times in 3 weeks that they've been available to be on the road, and it was one of their, if they're not first, if not the first stop. That first day on the road when the dead period ended, Auburn was at Madhouse. They were at Madhouse again. They were at Madhouse again. I think I've seen them. I think they've been there 3 times. So big emphasis on local kids, especially that city, which just always has talent, but it seems like more and more kids are coming out of Montgomery. Got to put a fence around that. Put a fence around that city, and then that 85 strip to Auburn, where they can't go anywhere but Auburn. Did I need to? Did I make that easy enough?
Yeah.
Hey, man, great show, folks. I'm telling you what, we really appreciate y'all. We got the best callers, the best listeners, the best subscribers. Absolutely. Very fortunate, man. We are all very fortunate to be doing what we're doing and doing it for you guys. We really do. We got some great loyal fans, and we appreciate the hell out of it. We appreciate all the tips tonight, although it is not required. We just want you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and continue to support us that way. And we don't ask you for tips because we've got people that pay our tips, like Jessica Andrews with eXp Realty. 5-star realtor. Need a house in or around Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, Alabama? Jessica Andrews is the one for you. She's the one for me for sure. 334-704-4442. Give her, I'm telling you, man, she is a stud. 5-star. She can buy, sell, residential, investment properties. She does it all. 334-704-4442. Give her a call. Tell her we sent you. Man. It go a long way. Thanks everybody tonight for the calls, for Chappie, man, getting us started. We had some really good call. Angie from Union Springs got us talking about some offensive line. She's fired up about that. Of course, Edward, he's the MVP. He always will be in my book. Anthony. We had Gracie. We had Urban Bowl. Chris from Helena, Hogbone. Oh, Matt and Jeff. Bryce still for Fox. Jeremy, Justin, and Jesse. Had fantastic calls. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate all the comments. We appreciate all the tips. We really do. If you're not a subscriber to Auburn Live on 3, man, go check us out, dude. It's $25 now, and you don't pay another penny until next September. I promise you will get your money's worth in the first day. I mean, we've got recruiting. We're going to have more and more transfer portal stuff. We've got in-home visits going this week. We got official visits continuing next weekend. A lot going on. Commitments. We're expecting another commitment. Auburn's got Colton Hood today. They got Tyler Johnson today. We're expecting one more in the next 24 to 48 hours. This will be a big one. If you like defense, it'll be a big one. Auburn making moves on a lot of other guys. Justin's continuing to update the football roster. We've got the target transfer tracker. We've got the hot boards that's going to be coming out a lot more frequently as we lead up to the signing day of December 21st, man. So thanks again, everybody. We really appreciate you. Thank you. For Pink, for Justin, for Jhead, for Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay out of that left lane. See ya.